Welcome back. It's Melanie or She Shed Scrapper. So today I am back with a one-page layout using scraps that are left over from a previous layout with the Stay Wild collection from Paper Rose Studio. This was an older collection that I got at a local scrapbooking store and kind of wish I would have got more of it. It's a perfect kind of adventure and outdoor layout. So I decided to cut the yellow paper kind of in half and have that as my outside piece. I have 3 photos that I'm just going to stack on top of each other, and you can see that there is a gap in between the photos and the yellow paper. So I will be adding something to cover that up. I did cut the green paper down a little bit just to kind of make it look like it is a layering piece. And again, those 2 kind of, I don't know, coral reddish pieces, those branding strips on the left hand side there, that's what I'm going to use to cover up the gaps here. So these are from the same collection and kind of a different color, I think, to use with this, but it's the only 2 that I had that were the same, and so that is what I decided to use. For some reason, my papers were a little bit longer than my cardstock, so I did trim that down a little bit just to make it that even. And then in the collection, I had bought well, I guess these squares are the back side of one of the papers, and I kind of had this idea maybe to like stack them going down the sides. Instead, I decided to just use 2 of them. But what I was going to say is I have this paper here. It's kind of like a whole embellishing paper, at least the one side. You have to cut it yourself. On the other layout that I did, I had to fussy cut, I believe they were triangles that I used on the other layout, and I will link that up above for you guys to check out. So I decided to use some of just the embellishments that are on the sheet. I did dovetail both ends of that adventure phrase. I want to say sticker, but it's just paper, just to give it a little bit something extra. And I know that there's a lot of words and phrases. It's just kind of what I had. So had I had more of the collection maybe, or I don't know, I was just really trying to push myself to use up as much of the collection as I could. I only had a small amount left, so I was trying to use up what I could. I probably could have brought in other pieces from other collections, but again, it is what it is, and I decided to then cut some circles out with some of the scrap pieces that I have. The yellow, so obviously I had to be careful where I placed the yellow paper. It couldn't go right on the yellow, but the back side was kind of like reminds me of the moon. So I'll call it the moon paper. So I did have some of that, so I just kind of used some of the scraps and cut circles to add to my embellishing, and again just use up more of this more of the few pieces of this collection that I had. I did go into my Scrappin' Happy Studio stash to find some flares. It's nice when you kind of add that circular element in your embellishing to then add another type of embellishment that is circular as well. And so I do actually add at least 2, I know. I'm going to actually use a canvas flare and then an epoxy flare once I kind of get everything situated. Again, I just kind of had to figure out where to place those yellow circles so that they didn't overlap the yellow paper on the outside of the layout. I also have these flares that I almost got rid of. They're like We Are Memory Keepers. I probably got them at Tuesday Morning a long time ago, but color-wise, they matched pretty well. So I did add one to the right-hand cluster. It was green, and it just matched that color nicely. It is kind of sat on the green pattern paper, but I think it's okay. The bottom, I added a flare from Scrappin' Happy Studio. And I just really had to figure out if I was done or not. But I decided to add this happy place flare at the top to kind of finish off that cluster. And I think that's just about going to finish off this layout. So again, just a really simple design using up what pieces I could of kind of what I had left over. You can see I'm trying to decide, are there any phrases that I want to try to incorporate just to use some more up. There's really great border strips there as well, but instead I just decided to keep it as is and yeah, just call it good. But I hope you guys enjoyed this layout and we will see you next time. Bye guys.